there, and welcome back to another Star Wars What If reaction. Today we're reacting to what if Darth Vader time traveled to kill Obi Wan on Mustafar, created by Fantasy Folklore. Be sure to check him out, the link is in the description, and I cannot wait to see what he came up with for this Star Wars What If, so let's jump right in.
What if Darth Vader time traveled to kill Obi Wan on Mustafar?
Let's do it.
Let's start the story in the world between worlds. Vader is unsure how he got to this domain. A second ago he was meditating in his chamber from his castle on Mustafar, and next minute he's in this cosmic fourth dimension. He looks around, hearing voices from his past, present, and future echo all around him. He walks along the cosmic pathway as portals begin to pop up, showing Vader bits and pieces from his life. But he stops alongside one portal, which represents the night he lost everything. Through the portal, he can see the flames of Mustafar, the lava lakes and volcanic ash corroding the atmosphere, and in the distance, can see the clash of blue lightsabers, representing the duel between Obi Wan and Anakin. He watches intensely as they fight along the lake, and both dripping in sweat and fatigue. As the duel reaches its climax, Obi Wan jumps onto the lava bank, and Vader knows it's now or never. He rushes through the portal as his feet touch down on the sands of Mustafar behind Obi Wan, and now in the past. Anakin sees Vader in the distance, and he hesitates jumping and wears a confused look on his face. This causes Kenobi to turn and
how is Anakin gonna react to this though?
Face Vader as the black machine of a man ignites his crimson lightsaber and pushes forward. Obi-Wan's lightsaber snapped to life as Vader made the first move.
Okay, so, because I was scared that Vader was just straight up gonna stab him in the back and that's it. But now, how is this gonna, oh my god, I'm so excited. How is Anakin gonna react to this?
Bringing his saber down.
And the problem is, Obi-Wan is tired, you know, from the fight.
Fatigued Obi-Wan with immense force, causing him to move backwards. Their blades meet again, in rapid succession. Vader was relentless, each strike more forceful than the last, his rage fueling his attack as he pushed Kenobi back. His defenses start to falter, but it's not over for him yet. He parries under one of Vader's strikes and slashes across his abdomen, causing sparks to fly everywhere as Vader screeches out in pain. Obi-Wan stands.
Maybe Anakin is gonna, they're gonna discover that that's actually Anakin in the future. Anakin might realize what he's gonna become.
To invade Vader again, but he feels a familiar presence behind him push forward towards Vader with the Force. Anakin had entered the battle, and Obi-Wan found himself caught between the two.
Wow. Well, is Obi-Wan fucked here?
Now 2 against 1.
Oh, he's fucked.
Kenobi no longer had the opportunity to attack. The strikes came faster, more powerful, as Obi-Wan struggled to keep up with the onslaught. The combined pressure of both Vader and Anakin's onslaught was overwhelming.
Obi-Wan's dead.
One of Vader's strikes causes the Jedi Master to stumble, unable to regain his balance in time, as Anakin closes in, his blue blade slicing through the air, catching Obi-Wan's side, opening a deep wound. Vader soared swiftly, as his crimson blade flashed, as he plunged it deep into Obi-Wan's chest, through his heart and lungs, and successfully enacted his revenge against his former master. He stands victorious, with Anakin across from him, as they both look up to see Padme's Naboo cruiser had taken flight and is leaving the planet. Both Vader and Anakin reach out with the Force, attempting to pull the ship back down, but it was too far up, and it escaped before they could do so. In this timeline, C-3PO flew the ship himself after he watched Kenobi die, and knew he had to get Padme to safety, which was his #1 priority. Meanwhile, Vader and Anakin lock eyes, as Vader looks down at his hand, realizing it's gone transparent. He knows what's happening. His time in the past is over, and he's being transported back to the future. He looks at Anakin one last time, giving him one piece of advice, telling him to find her at all costs before it's too late. Vader closes his eyes as he feels around him in the Force that he's been transported back over 20 years into the future to where he was originally from. He opens his eyes to see he's back in his meditation chamber in his castle on Mustafar, but something is different. He looks down at his right hand and both of his legs to see they are no longer mechanical, but rather still
I see what's happened here.
Made of flesh. He looks across at his window to see the reflection of his face staring back at him, not the scarred and deformed mask of Darth Vader. And Vader realized what had happened, with him traveling to the past and killing Obi Wan. Anakin never lost his limbs and grew to be Vader with all of his limbs intact.
Wow.
As he stands, he has to hold onto the windowsill as his mind is thrust with the memories of Vader in this timeline. He was far more powerful, had eradicated most of the Jedi around the galaxy, and more so, he had mastered many dark side abilities, and his power rivaled that of Darth Sidious. He takes out the holocrons from his shelf and
Well, Sidious is done for.
starts reading about a few more dark side techniques: Force Sight, Force Drain, Force Domination, and starts training in these. He goes down to where the local inhabitants of Mustafar live and starts practicing.
Oh,
he
okay.
burns some of them with his Force Sight, drains the life force from their consciousness with Force Drain, incinerates them with his red Sith lightning, and corrupts their minds to the point of madness with domination. This was it. This was Vader when he could reach his full potential. However, the hate of his previous timeline remained, markedly towards his master Sidious. In this timeline, Sidious treated Vader better, since he never lost on Mustafar. However, Vader remembers how easily he had turned on him in his past life, and decides to get his revenge. He leaves Mustafar and travels to Coruscant to enter Sidious's throne room. His master welcomes Vader, but he skips the pleasantries. Vader ignited his Crimson Blade, and Sidious did the same, and without hesitation, the two lunge forward, their lightsabers meeting in a clash of
Wow,
red.
okay.
Sparks fly as their blades locked in fierce combat. Vader's strikes were brutal, as Sidious moved with intense speed. The battle quickly escalated beyond their blades. Sidious unleashed waves of darkside energy, sending bolts of raw force power crashing into the air,
Okay.
forcing Vader to cast force shields. The room trembles as Sidious manipulates the environment, bringing down columns of debris, hurling them towards Vader with
Okay.
a flick of his hand.
Shit.
Vader activates Force Sight, using all of his anger, concentrated in his red-hot Sith eyes. As Sidious's flesh begins to heat up, he can feel this happen, and increases his dark side output to defend. But this is what Vader wanted. Vader reached out with his hand, and activates Force Drain, and begins siphoning the dark side energy from Sidious,
No fucking way.
and using it to empower himself. Sidious, on the back foot, realizes he has to do something fast, as both Sith raise their hands, summoning their full strength. The room erupts with violent energy, as bolts of Force Lightning collide in the center. A battle of wills, and pure unbridled power.
Okay.
Sidious cracks lightning violently, but Vader's was more powerful. His energy overwhelms the Emperor, cutting through his weak blue lightning.
Wow.
And Vader's red lightning consumes Sidious. His body spasms and convulses as he screams in pain. He couldn't believe the strength of Vader's lightning, as his body crumples to the floor, defeated.
Wow.
Vader stands over him, victorious, and takes his place on the Emperor's throne, the weight of the galaxy now in his hands. A few years later, Vader sits atop the completed Death Star, having been Emperor for some time now. He oversees the operations of the Empire, commanding his forces, as well as coordinating the Imperial Senate when necessary. But in his mind, he senses a disturbance. The Force stirs with an unfamiliar energy. He turns to the viewport, his mechanical hand resting on the console, as he watches a fleet of rebel ships emerge from hyperspace, ready to strike. The rebels launch their attack on the Death Star with precision, their ships darting through the massive battle station's defenses. Vader's eyes narrow, a sense of inevitability settling in as he watches the final confrontation unfold. From his throne, he commands the Imperial forces, but he senses something unfamiliar across the battlefield.
What is
A
it?
presence he hasn't felt for a while. Master Yoda. Vader gleamed
Maybe. Oh shit, Master Yoda might have joined the rebellion in this timeline or something.
with excitement. Finally, he will
But
get
then
the
Yoda could have trained both Luke and Leia, so Vader might be fucked.
revenge on Master Yoda that he so eagerly desired. But alongside Yoda were two other
Yep.
Force users, but Vader disregarded this.
Yep.
They would share the same fate as Yoda. He felt them coming towards the Death Star, and he allowed this as he waited,
Or they're your children, so they are extremely powerful.
building up his strength and power in the dark side in anticipation. He felt them land, rush through the corridors, cutting down stormtroopers, until they reached the door of the throne room. They kicked it down, and Yoda emerged in the center, tailed by a male and female of the same age, around 22 years old. Vader was hit with an inkling of fear. These two were stronger in the Force than he expected, and they may in fact be a challenge. He greeted Master Yoda, thanking them for making it easy, coming to him, instead of forcing him to continue the hunt. But Yoda proclaimed that today was Vader's last day,
Oh,
that he has
shit.
brought his twin children, Luke and Leia, with him to stop Vader's tyranny once and for all. Vader stood motionless. What did Yoda just say? His twin children? Could these two young Jedi be the twin children of Padme Amidala? Vader reaches out, searching for the truth, but before he could find the answers, the three of them were onto him. Yoda used this to distract Vader and landed the first blow by cutting off his mechanical hand.
No!
Vader retreated with anger
Already?
and ignited his blade in his other. Using the dark side, he levitated slightly and started casting Sith spells as tendrils emerged from his back, as he used them to assist in blocking the Jedi and their advancements. The room erupted into an intense fight. The Jedi attacked ruthlessly, attempting to pierce Vader's defenses, but he was good and poured all his energy into taking out Yoda, but he overstepped as Yoda came behind him and cut the tendrils down from their source, and Leia grabbed onto Vader's arm and pulled him down to the floor. Yoda stabbed down with his lightsaber, but Vader span and flipped, kicking Yoda's legs out from under him as Vader regained his balance. Leia cut his saber in half, and Luke cracked him across his jaw with his fist. Vader fell to his knees dazed. These two were good. They were in sync and powerful. Maybe they really could be his children. Before Vader can regain his composure, his arms were tied behind his back, and his remaining hand in an energy cuff. He had been defeated. They escaped fast as the Rebel Alliance successfully blew up the Death Star. They had won this battle and captured the Emperor himself. This left the Imperial leadership in disarray as Tarkin takes over the position of Emperor, and the other Grand Moffs agree to this. Tarkin appoints Thrawn to be the new Grand Moff, as he knows to defeat the Rebels, they will need his military prowess. With Vader's capture, the Rebels launch a full-blown war on the Republic. Vader is taken to prison at the Rebels' base. Meanwhile, the Jedi continue fighting in the war. They rallied many more forces to their cause, with their decisive victory against the Emperor.
This is a very cool timeline, by the way.
Tarkin gave Thrawn full authority over the military, and this was a good move. Unlike other Imperial leaders, he prioritized understanding his enemy's motivations and weaknesses, enabling him to craft precise strategies that exploited the rebels' vulnerabilities. Thrawn's mastery of fleet coordination and unorthodox maneuvers often forced the rebels into no-win situations, inflicting significant loss of their forces. The war continued on. Meanwhile, one evening, weeks after his capture, Luke and Leia decide to visit Vader in his prison cell, with one goal: to turn him back into Anakin Skywalker. The dim light of the prison cell flickered slightly, casting faint shadows across the cold Durasteel walls. Vader was seated on the bench at the center of the room. The door hissed open, and Luke and Leia stepped inside. For a moment, the three stood in silence, the weight of their family hanging heavily in the air. Luke broke the silence first, speaking with a gentle tone, leading them into a conversation that would touch Vader's heart. Vader spoke first, asking them what it is they want, and Leia followed, telling her father that they want him to remember who he was, Anakin, and want him to return to the light, to help rebuild the galaxy. Vader's gaze flickered. He could sense the sincerity in her words, and for a brief moment, the man he had once been, Anakin Skywalker, seemed to rise from the depth of his soul. He told them both that the light is gone. He destroyed it. That he destroyed everything. Luke took a step closer and told his father that it doesn't have to be this way. That he doesn't have to continue destroying everything. That he can help them. Help create the galaxy that Padme, their mother, dreamed of. The galaxy she wanted. And tells Vader he can still be the man she believes in. The mention of Padme made what was left of Vader's heart ache. He closed his eyes briefly, the image of her face filling his mind. He muttered her name and told his children that he had failed her. But Leia's eyes softened and asked Vader, what would Padme think of him now? What would she think of the man he had become? Vader's eyes snapped open. The question lingered in the air. He had betrayed her, betrayed them all. How could he face her memory now? Luke told Vader that Padme would want him to return to the light. She would want him to help them rebuild. Together, they can finish what she started. A glimmer of hope began to rise within Vader. He had once dreamed of this, a family, a future with Padme, a galaxy at peace. Could that still be a reality? Vader's hand touched his chest as a tear left his eye, telling his children that he'd not only failed Padme, but failed both of them. How can he make up for his mistakes? And Leia told Vader that it's not too late. he still has the chances to make things right, to return to the light.
Okay.
Vader asks how. He's so far down the dark path that he doesn't see any hope of returning. But Luke tells him it's a path they will walk with him, and with the help of Master Yoda, they can rid Anakin of the darkness that has consumed him for so long. Vader, now Anakin, tells his children that he will help them to rebuild the galaxy their mother dreamed
Wow,
of,
that's
and be the
beautiful.
father he was always meant to be. They enter the prison cell and spend the evening talking about Padme, what she was like, but also what Anakin was like before he became Vader, and the stories of when they had just married and their time during the Clone War. In a few days, Anakin was freed after some convincing done to the Rebel Council, as well as Yoda, confirming that his motivations were pure, and was also motivated to turn Anakin back to the light.
Oh, wow.
Yoda saw Anakin turning into Vader as his greatest failure, and now he had the opportunity to reverse it. Anakin meets with the Jedi and Rebel Command and proposes an idea of how to end the war. The galaxy still sees him as the Emperor, as they don't know he's turned to the light and defected to the Rebel side, and they can use this to their advantage.
Yeah.
The following day, they give Anakin a ship, and he travels to the heart of the Imperial officers on Coruscant. No one stops him from entering, but they all look at him, because through the galaxy, everyone thought he had been captured. He walks straight into the command room to find Tarkin and Thrawn there, present at the head of the table, with the rest of the Grand Admirals and Moffs seated around.
He's gonna kill them all.
Tarkin greets who he thinks is
Isn't he?
Vader, welcoming him back, and starts to tell him about what he's done in his absence. But before Tarkin can finish, Anakin grips his neck with the Force and breaks it, and pulls Thrawn towards him with the Force and stabs him with his saber. The rest jump in shock, but with one throw of his lightsaber, Anakin arcs it around the room to take out each of the Imperial commanders one by one, and goes to the desk where Tarkin was sitting. From here, he commands the Imperial forces around the planet to stand down and not engage the Rebel forces containing the Council that come out of hyperspace and begin making their way to Coruscant's surface. Anakin then goes to the Imperial Senate and makes a declaration that will be received across the holonet. He proclaims that he will be abolishing the Empire and handing over control of the galaxy to the Rebel Alliance, who from here on out will restore democracy to the
That's
galaxy
crazy.
and begin with the New Republic. Shock encompassed the Senate and galaxy. This was the last thing they expected from Emperor Vader. Anakin stood down from his podium as he let Mon Mothma address the Senate, as she began explaining how the transition would work. Over the following days, more of this occurred as Imperial practices were shut down and the New Republic was established. There was some subtle resistance from some higher ranking Imperial officers, but after a quick visit from Anakin, this was quickly silenced. Over the following months, the New Republic is established, but the real challenge is Luke, Leia, Yoda, and Anakin, now attempting to re-establish the Jedi Order. Yoda personally knew he had made mistakes in the past. He trained Jedi how he was trained. However, this was the wrong way to go about it, and now he understands this. But Anakin told him that the problems were rooted further in the Jedi's dogmatic principle of attachments. Blindly following the Senate, Yoda had problems fully agreeing with Anakin, but as the four of them sat discussing this, they were visited by the Force ghost of Qui-Gon Jinn. He told Yoda that Anakin was right. He told them to imagine a time where they trained Anakin surrounding his attachment to Padme, that he wouldn't have turned, and consulted the Jedi for help regarding his nightmares. Yoda asked for proof of this, and Qui-Gon tells him that the Jedi of old were like this. They were true keepers of peace and allowed themselves families, and also existed outside the boundaries of galactic order. Yoda puts his hand on his chin and thinks through what Qui-Gon was saying. Maybe he was right, and decides to agree that they will allow future Jedi to have attachments, but a key part of the new curriculum will be involved in not letting the emotions surrounding one's attachment consume you. The Jedi meet with the new Chancellor Mon Mothma and Vice Chancellor Bail Organa about how the new Jedi Order will be different from the old. They decide that the new Jedi Order will not be under control by the Senate, but will work independently all around the galaxy. Not just in Republic territory, however. They can be employed by the Republic for specific tasks if it aligns with what the Jedi would do. They agree with this proposition, and the Jedi set up a new temple on Tython, the birthplace of the Jedi Order, and begin their goal of restarting the Jedi. Anakin, Luke, and Leia were happy together. They were missing Padme, but no, Padme is watching them from above with a smile. If you enjoyed this video, You have thoughts, what if Anakin was
Yeah, it's a pretty good what if. Pretty good what if. I've never really seen something like this before. Similar things, but nothing like this. I'm gonna give this what if an 8 out of 10. I think it's solid. Let me know you guys would rate this what if out of 10 in the comment section down below, whether you agree with my 10 out of 10 rating or if you don't, and why.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this reaction, make sure to go subscribe to Fantasy Folklore for more awesome what if content. And do not forget to subscribe to my channel, leave a like, and turn on those notifications so you never miss an upload. Remember, a new Star Wars what if reaction drops every single day. Join our Discord, links in the description. Also, if you want to support the channel and get exclusive perks, consider joining our Patreon. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this video, so drop a comment with feedback or let me know which what if I should react next. Thanks again for watching. This is the way, may the force be with you. Until then, I'll see you next time.
Hey, you didn't watch it? Well, check out the video on the left side of the screen, which is specifically recommended for you, or check out the playlist on the right of the screen, which contains similar videos to this one, made by me, of course. Hey, remember, subscribe.